This new stat shows something that Kristaps Porzingis is doing that is drastically changing the Celtics offense for the better. We'll be diving into exactly what that stat is. Plus, Jayson Tatum made history in last night's game versus the Brooklyn Nets. All of that and much more on this episode of Celtics Digest. But before we get into the video, guys, a quick reminder that 84.9% of you watching this video are not subscribed because we got thousands of viewers on each video. So a lot of you guys just haven't hit that button. And if you enjoy the content we're putting out, if you like this daily Boston Celtics news, rumors, reactions, hit that subscribe button. It would really help us out, help us grow, and help us be one of the best Boston Celtics channels on the platform. But I'm not going to harp on that for too long. We got to jump into this video. And actually, the first thing I want to talk a bit about is Jrue Carter. Now, you might hear Jrue Carter. You might think, is that a player? No, Jrue Carter is the Celtics' new road announcer, and he seems primed to take over from Mike Gorman once the season is over. But we've seen Jrue Carter now. And he was on commentary last night versus the Nets, and oh my goodness, I think I love this announcer. Like, Jrue Carter, he has this perfect blend, right? And if you guys watch the games that he's announced, you'll know what I'm talking about, where he's just like, I don't want to say he doesn't care, but he's just so laid back. He says the right things all the time. He's a nerd for the game, which is hilarious too. But he also has a ton of funny lines. I mean, we've heard Jaylen Brown in Fuego, right? It's Pritchard hour. All these kind of things, that rock band analogy that he was making about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, drum solos, this kind of stuff. I think as Celtics fans, we've been very spoiled with the likes of Mike Gorman and, of course, Tommy Heinsohn, rest in peace, Tommy. And now we got Scal, who is solid as well. But Jrue Carter looks to be next in line to take over that throne. And I think some people are worried that he's that good at being a commentator that he might end up getting grabbed from the Celtics and thrown on national games, right? A lot of these national guys are not getting any younger. Mike Breen's getting up there in age. You never know. But as of right now, I think I've seen a lot of positive reaction for Jrue Carter. I don't think I've ever seen a new commentator get as much love as Jrue Carter's getting, especially a guy who is commentating games in the place of Mike Gorman, right, who's in his last season. So let me know what you guys have been thinking about Jrue Carter. Do you really enjoy his commentating style? Because I certainly do. I think as Celtics fans, we've been spoiled with great commentary, and it sure seems like that is continuing. And yeah, I can't wait to see what other great calls he has in store for this year, because I think he's going to get a lot more hype in the coming months. But let's quickly jump into topic 2. And we got to talk a bit about Jayson Tatum. And as a lot of you know, if you watch the game, Jayson Tatum makes history. He's the youngest Celtic in history to score 10,000 points. Now, there are not that many Celtics all time that have scored 10,000. Well, I mean, I guess compared to other teams, they're kind of hard. There's like 7 or 8. I think, like Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, Mikhail Bird, all these guys, Paul Pierce. But Jayson Tatum is the youngest to hit that mark. Jayson Tatum, I think a lot of people still forget, it feels like Jayson Tatum has been in the league forever. I mean, those jokes about him being 14 years old or, still a teenager, right? Of course, those are hilarious, but it is kind of true. Every time you look at Jayson Tatum's age, you're like, wait, he's only 25, he's only 25. He's only in his mid-20s. It's crazy, right? Sometimes it feels like he's 28, 29 years old. They've already had so many experiences as a team, him and Jaylen Brown, and of course the Celtics teams of the past number of years. Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. They've been through it all, but he's just hitting his prime. We've seen him really start to take over this season, and with an efficient 32 points on 50% from the field last night, 60% from 3, Tatum is now over 30 points per game on the season. He's at 30.2 points per game. He's shooting incredibly efficiently from the field. I believe 45% from 3 as well. He is doing stuff that, I mean, a lot of us wanted to see him do this, right? But of course, with the acquisitions, I can't speak today. It's Sunday, whatever. The acquisitions of Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday, people were like, oh, well, maybe Tatum and Brown, they might get less touches. Their stats might drop a little bit. But no, I mean, I got the stats here. Jayson Tatum on the season, 30.2 points, 55% from the field, 3 assists, and basically 10 boards a game. I mean, I think he's leading the team. He is just doing absolutely everything for this squad, and to be the youngest Celtic ever to hit 10,000, I mean, at this point, it got to feel like Tatum's going to be a Celtic for life, right? He's going to be with the Celtics as he passes 20, 25,000. He's going to be one of the greatest scorers of all time at this rate. But yeah, I mean, look, I know a lot of people were hyped for Jayson Tatum. But you're like, oh man, if he can average, I saw a lot of people, like even me myself, I'm like, okay, well, with Kristaps Porzingis, Jrue Holiday, I know Tatum's still going to have to score, but maybe he'll drop to a more efficient 27 or something. He's like, nah, I'm going to bump up my efficiency. I'm going to up my playmaking a little bit more, but I'm also going to start to score in different ways. Thank you, Sam Cassell. Check out our video on that from a few days ago, talking about how Sam Cassell has influenced Jayson Tatum. It's been phenomenal. But he's just like, I'm just going to up my efficiency, and I'm also still going to score 30 a game, even though we got these, it doesn't even really matter, right? But he's opening the door for his other teammates as well, because even on a team with this many stars, Jayson Tatum is the superstar. He is the guy that demands all the attention every single second he's on the floor. You can't leave him from three. You can't let him get a foot past you, else he'll drive into the lane. He had a double spin move into an and one to get this 10,000 points, I believe. Like, he is doing everything we wanted him to do and more. And that is one of the, I don't want to say one of the more surprising storylines of the season, but I think we're sort of spoiled with Tatum too. It's like he is putting in superstar performance after superstar performance night after night. And while I wouldn't say he's carrying this team, without him, this team is not where it is. Like, his ability to do everything on the court, offensively and defensively a lot of the time, while also still finding his teammates and still scoring an efficient 30 a game is just phenomenal. And he is really changing how the Celtics look and how the Celtics will look for the next number of years. But there's one guy he's also freeing up, and we got to talk a bit about Kristaps. And man, he is changing everything. We've talked a lot about Kristaps this season, but that's for good reason. Of course, he's averaging about 20 a game, 7 boards, 2.5 steals plus blocks. He is really, really good this season, but there's a stat that I'm going to show you that shows that he is kind of changing how the Celtics offense functions, and that is post-ups. Kristaps Porzingis, according to Major Slimes, I think it's Major Slimes on Reddit, Kristaps Porzingis is the most efficient post-up player in the entire NBA so far this season. Jayson Tatum is 10th. Kristaps Porzingis so far, obviously it's a very small sample size. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. 1.5 points per possession in the post this year. Jayson Tatum at 1.19. 1.5. Of course, he's tied with Jaren Jackson, so I guess a tie for first, but still. The fact that Kristaps Porzingis is averaging 1.5 points per post-up is absolutely ridiculous, but it makes sense. Because last season, Kristaps Porzingis was actually 6th in this same stat. Jayson Tatum, well, he was 4th. Two of the top 10, two of the top 6 most efficient post-up players in the entire NBA play on the Boston Celtics. And I think that just allows the offense to be opened up that much more, right? Because again, we talk about Jayson Tatum, how he's able to hit his teammates, whether it's Brown, whether it's White, whether it's Holiday. By the way, a little transition here. All 5 of the Celtics starters are shooting quite well from 3. Brown's the lowest, 36%, but Derrick White, 58% so far. I don't know if this is updated to last night, but it might be. But still, we got like 50%, 45, 40%. These guys are shooting really well, and I think the spacing that these guys are creating is really helping, but post-ups can also help that as well. If you have a 7'3" Kristaps Porzingis who is able to get 1.5 points per possession in the post, other teams are going to have to double. You're going to have to foul him. But guess what? You can't really, because he's one of those 7-footers that's also very good at free throws. So having that threat, that 7'3" threat, a guy who is not that bad at passing either, right? Like, if he gets doubled down in the post, he's able to find teammates for open threes. That kind of thing can really open up an offense, and it's a very underrated aspect of this Celtics team. And it's the same thing with Tatum. If he decides to post up, we know he's able to swing it back out, and we know he's also able to score in the post. So to have both these guys be ranked this highly in the league is really, really phenomenal. And we'll just take a look at the box score, and it's leading to everyone putting up better stats. Of course, Tatum, like I said, with the 32 points, this is just last night's game, 32 points, 11 boards, only 1 assist, but 10 for 20 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3. Kristaps, 8 for 10 from the field, and he only took 2 threes. He had a few post-ups last night, and I believe he scored on every single one, if I'm not mistaken. Then you got Jrue Holiday, 4 for 9 from 3, 10 assists, 9 boards for Jrue Holiday. The guys are getting maybe the best looks of their careers, and that's large part because of Jayson Tatum, who is able to garner so much attention with his iso ball. Jaylen Brown, who, while not as good at iso ball as Jayson Tatum is, he is still a lethal threat. Don't forget, he averaged over 25 a game last year. But if you have Kristaps Porzingis, who is also one of the top post-up threats in the entire NBA, what do you even do? You have a perimeter of guys who are very good shooters, also amazing defensively. They're locking up other teams every single night. Then you have Jayson Tatum, arguably the best ISO scorer in the NBA right now. And then you're like, okay, well, if all of that is shut down, we held him off the three-point line, even though they're shooting 40%. Jayson Tatum, we neutralized him. We stuck Kawhi on him or something, whatever. You never know where you stuck our best defender on him. And so what are they going to do now? Oh, we just got a 7'3" monster of a human who can also shoot threes, who is the most efficient post-up player in the NBA. Like, this offense is like something we haven't seen, at least in a long time, for the Boston Celtics. Obviously, Kevin McHale was a phenomenal post-up player, and I didn't look at his efficiency stats, but I'm sure they were very good. And those kind of offenses worked well. Of course, you had Larry on the perimeter. You had, like, shooters around. Different game, of course, back in the 80s. But still, in this modern game, this Celtics team just feels like it has a bit of everything. And that's part of the reason they're so good. I mean, there's so many reasons. I could seriously talk for an hour about this, but I got to cut it down for this video. So I'm just going to end it there. But let me know what your thoughts are on this Kristaps Porzingis stat. Kristaps and Tatum both being top 10 in post-up efficiency in the NBA, because to me, that is flying under the radar. I think almost no one is talking about it. But hey, I'm here to bring it to you guys to analyze that. And hey, be on the lookout for it next game. But that'll do it for this episode of Celtics Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Are you still watching? Did you just hear my voice? Did you have me on in the background? We'll come back to this and hit the subscribe button, because if you're still watching over 10 minutes into the video, why not hit subscribe? You enjoyed the video, you like the content, there's a lot more where this video came from. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.